Stay tuned for my video right here on Social Goals.
Say one thing before we start the show too. You're not having a good time. Wait, if you're not having a good time, you're wasting your time. You say that every night.
Relationships and situationships and all things. Thank you so much.
Daddy Yum Yum, 265 gallons of pure milk chocolate. And you are watching the Social Goals.
Okay. So you say you haven't been to Wrigley Field.
Not yet.
All right, so now they can see us. And like I said, I'd like to introduce y'all, for those that are watching on our social media platforms now, this is Mr. John Johnson. He's the CEO of Mechanicville LLC and state-to-state delivery services. So we were just kind of talking on the radio about his history in baseball and other sports. So, now they can see you. We got you here because we want to talk about, your lifestyle being an entrepreneur. But, I think before we can get to where you are, we want to talk about where you've been. So like I said, we was talking about, you going to the home teams of the sports that you are actually following. Okay, you got an LSU jersey, so I'm assuming I'll just have to go ahead and say you're an LSU fan.
LSU. Bro.
You already been to Death Valley?
I haven't been to Death Valley. Those two, Wrigley Field and Death Valley, that's on my list.
Okay. All right. So, this man, he's a baseball. He's been, like I said, I was introduced to him when we played baseball at BTW. And, that's one thing I noticed about him. You pitched and you played short. Third base. You, DeJuan Mitchell, Charles Bell. Quincy Peterson played first at that time.
Quincy on first. Who was on second?
At that time?
DeJuan was on second.
Oh, you was on third.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Charles came from Oakland.
Okay.
He moved short. I didn't like short. I started on second, but I hated second and I hated short. It was too much running. You gotta, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta do all the cutoffs and I ain't like that. So
yeah.
When Charles came, I was peeking out. I'll never forget. I was peeking out the window, man. I forgot who class I was in. I was like, man, that boy, that's kind of nice. Then when I come to practice, like, Jay, you got a little competition? No, I don't. He can have short because I hated it. And once I moved to third, I was at home. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Man, see now, like I said, we here to talk about you being an entrepreneur. Okay, third base. For those who are familiar with baseball, that's the hot spot.
Hot corner.
Man, that's the hot corner. You know what I'm saying? That's you got to be that man playing that part. Because like I said, a lot of batters are right-hand batters, so a lot of their power, is coming right there. So it seemed like you used to being in a place of where there could be pressure, but where the action at.
Right.
All right, man. So when did you become an entrepreneur?
Well, legally,
We can say illegally too. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
I knew since I was 17 years old. I was fresh out of Booker T, graduated. You know, my first job was at Southern Classic on Hollywood. I was there 3 days, bro. Third day, I think my manager at the time, Kim, matter of fact, you know, Kim all my life. Anyway, she was like, Jay, when you come back off a break, you're going to be in the cooler all day. Now, they call the freezer the cooler.
Okay.
You get your lab coat, man. First is about 30 degrees and 28, 25. It's freezing. It's a freezer.
Okay.
Get your lab coats and gloves and like you're in there panning chicken, separating chicken. So took my lunch and clocked out and chunked the deuce up. Like, man, you know, forget this. Eh? Went to the block, covered the flour. They laughed, and I was like, bro, this ain't gonna work. Got home, sitting in the kitchen talking to moms, man. I was like, Mama, you know how they say everybody ain't meant to go to college? And she was like, yeah, baby. Everybody ain't meant to go to college. I said, Mama, everybody ain't meant to work for nobody. I ain't meant to work for nobody. And that shit pissed her smooth off. You know what I mean? But she'll tell you this story. It's true. I knew since then, you know, I had to figure it out. I didn't know how I was going to become an entrepreneur. I just knew I didn't like nobody, you know, felt like a puppet master, somebody holding my well-being in their hand. And I ain't like that. I'm kind of a control freak, bro.
Okay.
So if I can't, you know what I mean, control it, it's going to make me real uncomfortable.
And this is at the tender age of 17.
17.
Did this actually start when you went, you was like, hey.
17. Yes.
Man. So when you got into that world, like, how did you actually learn? Who introduced you to working for yourself?
Man, nobody. Like I said, I knew since 17. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. First, we turned to the streets. You know, we was full-time drug dealing. That's what it was, you know, back in the 90s, early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. We was on the block, just, you know, getting it how we lived. And, you know, I had a few jobs here and there time to time, but, you know, that I like to get money every day, man. And that job money was just slow money to me.
Okay.
Know? And I never liked it. So, yeah. So we did that. Trying to make a transition out the streets, you know what I mean? So I've always done music. So my first real stint of entrepreneurship is when I opened my first studio up, Off the Block Records. Yep. And our first location, it was Highland. Mm-hmm. So that was like my first stint of being just entrepreneur, you know what I mean? Even though we still had a foot in, well, a couple feet in, but we was, you know, I was trying to make that transition because I seen where the streets was going to hit, you know. That was like a setup. So I was trying to, you know, get up out of that world and do the music thing.
Okay. Now I'm going to bounce around because I actually had an order how I wanted to talk with you. Right now I have a flyer up a state-to-state delivery. So I'm gonna start there first because that's what I have up there. So, man, when did you come up with that concept? How did this come about, man? Like, say you're the CEO of state-to-state delivery, man. How did this come about? What motivated this part of you being an entrepreneur?
Well, I was in Dallas. You know, I went, first, if y'all didn't know, a lot of people know me from being a fitness trainer. I moved to Dallas to start training at LA Fitness. You know, I didn't like that. I don't know what it is, about 3 days. Third day, I done seen enough. I didn't like that, so I'm like, damn. I gotta, you know, open my own spot back up, own gym back up. So I took a job while I was in Dallas. I think I was working at another movement company. And I seen this young brother, bro. He pull up to the warehouse driving the box truck. And I was like, man, who you drive for? He's like, man, nobody. It's my truck. I said, oh, yeah. So we just chopped it up briefly. Told me how he got off into it. I said, man, that's something I want to do. Get my own truck. So I wrote that down as one of my goals and just stuck it in my wallet, you know. And I kept on, you know, working there until I moved back to Shreveport.
Now, how old were you at this time? What was your age?
We grown, 2017. So,
Okay.
Yeah, from the trucking side, yep. So I was what?
So about 8 years ago.
Yeah, about 8 years ago.
Okay. All right. So for people who don't know, what's your preferred method of contact when it comes to state delivery? Now, for those that are watching, they see the flyer, and there's a QR code that they can reach to actually acquire your services. So what if someone, if they want to work for you, you know, people may have to do community service or something like that. Is that something that you would allow, or?
Yeah.
And
I've
what?
done it.
Okay, so how would you prefer these people like to get in contact with you?
On the moving side, you know, the website, we're on online, www.state-to-state-deliveryservice.com. You can book online. Now, if you're moving out of town or got a question, you can always reach me at 318-272-6130. But for the most part, I got the website kind of laid out too. You can pick what suits your moving needs from the website. I try to cover from A to Z on there. You just go book it and lock your date in.
Okay, so now for those people that actually said state to state, like for those who may not know, it typically means what it says. You move from here to there. Now I've actually seen that, you know, there's parameters, but man, how, with you being a business owner of state to state, how has the experience been with you from traveling state to state, experiencing like different cultures, going there, moving, you know, maybe even trying different food outside of, you know, here? How has that been?
It's been cool. You know, I no complaints. Like in the beginning, we was kind of blind man shuffling because I'm gonna back up a little bit as far as state to state becoming a moving company. That's not what I set out state to state to do. I bought the truck. My plan was to get a couple contracts. You know what I mean? And just do that. Work my truck, contracts. To be honest with you, bro, I hated moving. Me and my cousin who started with me, you know, we hated it with a passion. I ain't gonna lie, bro. You couldn't pay me to move with nobody. But I worked at Habitus for about a month and a half. And I learned the moving game from the guy that worked there named Al. I call him the guru. Whatever it is about moving furniture, yeah, he was the man. He was the expert at it. But he taught me that. So I already, you know, knew how to move. I just hated it. Got the truck, bro. And shout out to Mike McCormick, man. Big Mike. He was the first one to utilize my service back in 2018. He called me. Hey, bro, what you doing with that truck? I was like, man, nothing. I'm waiting there. I ain't got no, it's not even registered yet. No insurance, man. He's like, man, F all that, bro. How much you gonna charge me to pick some furniture up from Kramer's? Told him a price. All right. I need you to, you know, assemble it too. I was like, all right, bet. He was the first one, bro. And then folks start, you know, you got a moving company? I was like, no, because I felt like that was beneath me. You know what I mean? I felt offended by you calling my company a moving company, but that's what God did. It wasn't me. I hated it with a passion. Just like a few moves in, I was in the back of the truck and I turned to my cousin and was like, hey, bro, we can't say we hate this no more because this is how we eat. And he was thinking the same thing. So, yeah.
Okay. So look, man, we gonna change the narrative. We gonna take everybody back real quick. All right, man. So this is another thing that I actually got to experience with you because you was my physical trainer. Man, let's talk about body gains, man. Health and fitness.
Health and fitness, bro. How I get into that? Okay. I was always dibbling and dabbling, you know, working out. You know how I go.
Yeah.
Work out, fall off. Work out, fall off for a longer while. Work out, fall off for a few more years. But I was one of my partners got out the feds, right? And when he went in, he was like 2-something, you know, pre-diabetic, pre-hypertension. He get out, he poof. You know what I mean? So we go down there to see him. He at the gym. Of course, he a trainer now. He got his certification like he was locked up. And he's like, man, won't you come work out? Won't you train with me? I'm like, man, I don't want no damn training. He's like, man, you always working out, Jake. Come on. I'm like, I said, bro, I think about it. So he invited me out to a class. He had nothing but women. He introduced me, you know, to my partner, JJ, from back home. I was like, blah, we grew up together. And I worked out with the class. He tapped me out doing abs. And then we started running. He lapped me twice. I'm like, damn, I'm that far out of shape. So fast forward a few months later, we went to New Orleans for All-Star 2014. Yeah, 2014. I seen myself. We shot some video. We went to the studio, you know, watching a little playback. I seen myself in third person for the first time. You know, I ain't never been no big dude, but I was about 200 pounds. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, who was that with that wide ass back, man, pausing? All the bros started laughing, like, nigga, that's you. I'm like, damn. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about what C told me, man, come on, train. So still, I started working out, you know what I mean, just to get my body going. But what really led me to training, bro, don't nobody know this, but what? A couple people. You know, at the time, I'm on probation, 5-year papers. I'm a fresh felon, you know what I mean? So I can't do what I used to do. So, and then, you know, I'm trying to do the legal thing, but don't nobody want to hire me because I'm a felon, fresh felon. So I went on an interview. Then I was going on all these interviews. People would like me. Get to the background. Damn, bro. Man, come back and buy. You know, I got our paper in 2014, so we, you know what I mean? So back then, they were like, come back and such, 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 such. I'm like, all right. One-on-one interview. Told me the same thing, my background. I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna be a fitness trainer. You know what I mean? That was my way. Like I told you in the beginning, I'm a control freak. Me asking somebody for a job, you know, is out of my hands. I was like, ain't nobody gonna tell me no more. So I was my first client, bro. So got my certification, all that, and started accumulating a lot of fitness equipment at the studio. I was working out the studio. More studios, by the way. Shout out to big bro John Antoine. I was working out the studio, you know, and I accumulated a lot of equipment. When I looked around, I was like, damn, I got all this equipment. I need my own spot. So my first spot I opened up was on Lakeshore. I don't want to be, let me know, man, if I'm going on and on.
Oh, no. This is about you. This ain't about me. This is about you. We want all of this. We want all action.
So my first spot was on Lakeshore. You know what I mean? But a lot of people didn't know the reason I got into fitness. You know what I mean? I won't call it a hustle, but that was my first, you know what I mean, outside of, you know, the recording studio, but that was my first legal, you know what I mean, entry into entrepreneurship right there. Yeah.
Okay, so when you went to Lakeshore, like I say, you end up right up there off of Fairfield, and that's when I actually became a client of yours over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want us to move into your latest business, Mechanicville LLC.
Right.
Now, one thing, like I told you, I've been observing of you, man.
Mm-hmm.
I seen you restore a car. Like, when I see the car, I'm like, man, that's how that car looked back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
you restored that car.
Right.
Like, I never seen the car before, but I'm like, you can imagine it being a car that people drove back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, how did Mechanicville come to life?
Well, it's three things that brought me peace. And only my select few of my close people knew what those three things were. It was music, fitness, working on cars. If I do one of those three, I get the same feeling, you know what I mean? So Then nobody know I was passionate about cars, but a select few, because I ain't never broadcast that. You would just have to know me to know that. But after I restored the Cadillac, man, it hit me. Now I'm gonna fast forward to 2001.
Okay.
I went to I'm gonna rewind it back in 01 so we can get to mechanics.
Okay.
I enrolled in Votech for automotive for the mechanic program.
This is in 2001.
2001.
Okay.
Right before the towers hit.
Okay.
And at the time, 2001, it's a beautiful time to be alive if you was on the block. So I'm in class. I did about a week, and my phone, it kept going off. It wouldn't stop ringing, bro. My instructor was like, man, I don't know what you got going on, bro. Why your phone keep ringing? I was like, man, I got to go. And I kind of just chunked the deuce up at that, you know what I mean? Fast forward, I started restoring the Cadillac. And I forgot how much, peace and joy it brought me working on those cars, man. And I was like, shit, I missed this. I said, man, let me go ahead on and just get the rest of the knowledge I need, you know what I mean? So I enrolled back in Votech, Northwest Louisiana Technical College. When it was last January. Because when I decided to enroll, like it was like November of last year, right? Yeah. The course came so quick, it was like I enrolled late November, early December, first class January. So it didn't really give me a time to procrastinate and kind of bag out of it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, let's do it. So in the course of me starting class, I shut my gym down because my shop is my old gym. Okay. I still had the building, more than enough space to do what I wanted to do. I just, I wasn't doing fitness anymore, and I still had the building. So while I'm in school, I was like, okay, I might turn this to a shop. I don't know. Matter of fact, I'm gonna back up one more time. Okay. I had about after I restored the Cadillac.
And for those that don't know, what type of Cadillac this is?
Oh, it's a 1977 Cadillac Barista, Eldorado. Okay. Yeah. So I restored that. Front of my house, I had like 8 cars, bro. I looked down the block one day. Damn. I had cars in front of the house. I had cars in this empty lot across the street. I had cars in the empty lot down the street. You know what I mean? I was like, man, city gonna come get on me about this. So I still had my gym. So I decided, kind of just move everything around there. And I still wasn't sure on turning into a shop yet. But then, I asked my cousin one day, I said, man, you think I ought to turn into a shop? He was like, man, go for it. So that's what I did. And a year later, the phone don't stop ringing, man. It's just like being back in the streets again. Oh, wow. She'll tell you. From 5, 6 in the morning, a.m. to, I shut it down now, man, to all times of the night. I know it's late, man, but did you look at my car? Even when you get a chance, you know what I mean? So it'd be like pandemonium. You gotta just unplug for real.
Okay. So, I'm a person, and like we was talking off camera, media is what I do, and I follow you. I seen that you actually posted a video because you said people was talking about they don't see you doing state to state, and if it's still active. Right. You went in and you showed us all breaking down the house and all of that. So seeing that, and then I turn around, I want to say like the next day, I see you right here working on cars. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, you being an entrepreneur, when do you have time for you, and how are you able to make time for you because of your businesses?
That's a great question. I'm still trying to figure that part out, man, to be honest with you. That's one part I haven't quite figured. You just got to say no, and just make time for yourself. Kind of like I went to New York, took a vacation in New York back in 2021, stayed a week. To allow myself not to procrastinate, I just did it. I'm just gonna go. I set a date, and I just did it. I didn't allow myself no wiggle room to bag out because I do that a lot. I set a date for something. Okay, I ain't going to the shop today. I'm just gonna chill. And I look up, I'm at the shop. Like Sunday, case in point, I was just supposed to go up there for about an hour or so, and somebody pulled up in distress. And I'm like, bro, I'm really not open, man. And but you know how it goes. So yeah, man, I haven't figured that part out. When to make time for myself.
Okay. So that leads me to my next question, JJ. What has been some of the trials and tribulations of you being an entrepreneur?
Another good question. Not having a mentor. Not having a mentor to kind of guide me and keep myself from making a lot of unnecessary moves and decisions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All that get it out the mud. Nah, bro. If you find somebody in the industry that you want to get in, reach out to them, man, and see if he'll mentor you. You know what I mean? It's no pride thing, but bro, I spent way more money than I should have spent. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I was learning on the go, as a lot of entrepreneurs, small business. We learn on the go. We don't reach out to people, like I said, in our own respective industries to try to get some mentorship, because a lot of people might feel like you trying to step on their toes or come take their business. But no, man, it's a lot of money. It's enough money for everybody. As cliche as that sound, it's the truth. But not having a mentor, man, it can save you a lot of heartache and a lot of cash.
Okay. So, with that being said, if someone wanted to reach out to you just really strictly about learning to become an entrepreneur, man, do you mind
man,
reaching out to
I
you?
do it all the time, bro. Like I said, if I don't gatekeep my knowledge. You know what I mean? We all got a death day, bro. I'm gonna try to give out as much as I can and teach as much as I can before that day comes. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't mind. I don't gatekeep, bro. If I can help you better your situation with some knowledge, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you the game.
Okay. All right. So, we kind of talked about this in the beginning. And, one of my questions that I normally ask anyone that's on here, what motivated you to become an entrepreneur? Could we safely say, was the streets the motivation?
No.
Okay. So what was the motivation?
Like I said, it was a control thing, man. I couldn't see myself living the life I wanted to live waiting on my check. Because it never made sense to me, the whole working, If you asking me for some advice about should I take this job, I'm the wrong person to ask that. But it never made sense to me, right? We go to work 40 hours. Now, the company you're working for are making money every day. You know what I mean? Every day they making some money. But I got to wait 2 weeks to get paid. You know what I mean? Or 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however. Maybe once, twice a month. I don't know. That concept just, I never bought into that. Like, man. Then I got to ask somebody, could I be off? Some days you just don't feel like doing nothing. You know what I mean? Everybody,
Right.
We human, bro.
Right.
We need to reset and recalibrate. But I can't do that. I ain't really feeling it. So now I got to go to work. Now I'm at work feeling my energy off. You know what I mean? It's, you know how I go. I just never bought into that concept. It just wasn't for me. I don't knock it. I work jobs. You know what I mean? Even when I had a job getting $21 an hour, I felt like I sold my soul. I was the unhappiest I ever been.
Oh, wow.
And this was like in 2016. Like I said, this was 2015. This is 10 years ago. $21 10 years ago was in Shreveport was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I hated it, bro. I felt like I sold out. Yeah. I was like, man, you can't make $21 an hour doing something. You know what I mean? Because like I say, it's been in me since I was 17. Whenever I was on a job, I was unhappy. I mean, I hated it. I would find myself sitting on the edge of the bed thinking about work. I would get off work. If I'm doing that, I know I'm going to quit. I got quit and got fired from, never 2 week notice. I got fired or quit. That was just me with the job, bro. Okay.
So, in closing, before I get you out of here, because like I said, you are the definition of busy. If you look in the dictionary, you see the word busy, it should be your picture right by it.
Busy and productive.
Busy and productive.
No, I mean those two.
You see
words.
a picture in the dictionary.
No, I mean, am I busy or am I productive? I try to separate the two.
That's deep.
Busy doing nothing. You know what I mean? A lot of times you busy doing nothing, bro. So I had to kind of take a step back and realize what did I really get accomplished today? I mean, true, I was gone. Might have been at the shop, but what did you do besides just being here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I had a day like that the other day where I was busy, but to me, I just wasn't productive. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, you will see my picture in the dictionary.
Look, that actually gave me another question. Okay, being busy but not productive. So, with you not being productive, what type of effect that had on you that particular day that you just referenced?
Felt like I wasted time. Even though I didn't waste time, it felt like I wasted some time. You know what I mean? We can't never get that time back, but I just like, man, I can't do this. I can't have a day like this tomorrow or the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I have a day like this here, I'd just rather just take off for the day. Because that would have been more productive than anything. Rest, which I need and which everybody else needs.
Well, you know what? Before I have one more question left, but before I do that, with Mechanicsville and state-to-state delivery, is there hours of operation, or like you say, you getting it, or you kind of selective about the work? How does it go in the 7-day work week?
Mechanicsville, of course, I go to school every day, Monday through Thursday, from 6 p.m. But Mechanicsville, Monday through Friday, supposed to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but I've been kind of working some Saturdays and Sundays as well. Now, state to state, same operational hours, but I've been kind of more selective on that end because my vision with state to state is kind of do more of the long distance moving, and venture out into some more contract work because I've turned down a few contracts thus far already with state to state. But it just didn't make sense, you know what I mean? Financially, it didn't make sense to me, but yeah. Okay.
And like I say, for those that are watching, I've actually had the honor of watching this man with one truck. And like I said, I've seen 2 trucks. Mechanicsville, you've seen one vehicle. Now you see all the vehicles, the city kind of coming through Mechanicsville. Man, like I say, man, I like to give you your flowers in front of the world, man. Like I said, I look at you, you are the definition of entrepreneurship.
Appreciate it, man.
I can say that I'm an entrepreneur as well, but I have a 9 to 5.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, bro.
I'm saying right. It's different, and that energy is different because, like you said, you get it. If you don't work, you don't eat. Like that definition, like a lot of people can't say, like, if I don't do this.
Man, we eat. If I don't kill, I don't eat. I eat what I kill.
Okay, JJ. Man, hey, I want to ask you this last question, man. We'll get you up out of here, man. Tell us something about John Johnson that no one else knows. It could be a guilty pleasure, a hobby, something that no one else knows about you. Because when you come on a Social Goals platform, we try to get something from you that stays here that actually enhances what Social Goals, the epitome of Social Goals.
Something that nobody don't know.
Nobody knows about you. Nobody. Not even your closest friend. Just like it can be a guilty pleasure. Okay, I'll give you an example. I had a young lady that came on. She told me she had a fear of balloons. Now, what I thought about was the hot air balloons you climb in and go up in the sky. No, she's talking about birthday balloons. You holding your hand, the kids up. She has a fear of that, and I just thought that was the weirdest thing ever in life.
Right.
So, but it's something, that's her truth, and that's something I'll never forget her about. And that was maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I interviewed her. So,
man, I've been kind of an open book my whole life with my closest circle.
Okay.
Something that nobody knows.
Nobody knows about you.
Man, that's a good one. Should think everybody know everything about me, man. Something don't nobody know.
Man, I know you
I
rap.
did my mom.
No, you. What is there any type of skill that you have? You're an athlete.
Right.
You have mechanical skills. Like I say, you've been a multi-business owner. Is there any type of talent you have that no one knows? Are you a chef? I mean, I'm just saying. I ain't trying to push the. I mean, that's something we don't know.
Everybody know the music. Oof. Something nobody know. I've been so transparent my whole life. Everybody know I'm a felon. Shit, everybody, that's a good question, bro. I ponder on that one.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a few minutes, but I know it's something that we talked about. That you said I asked you, is it something that could come to light? Like I said, is there another type of business that you want to own? And I know you said you have a love for music.
Right.
Is that something you like to discuss so we can get back to that question before we get you out of here?
Yeah, man. That's my end goal. Be a music exec. I got an ear for talent. Been doing music forever. It's God given. It's therapeutic to me. But man, I kind of want to mold and shape the young guys, the younger generations. You know what I mean? And kind of steer them. Be a mentor, but also a big bro, man, and give them some real life game. Because my big homies turned us on to the foolishness coming up. You know what I mean? They ain't steer us away from it, bro. They encouraged it. You know what I mean? From being a womanizer to this to that. They encouraged it. So I kind of want to do something different when I'm reaching back. But yeah, that's the end game. Be a music exec. Get artists and put on for the city, man. The right way. You know what I mean? But back to your question. You kind of stumped me with that one. Don't nobody know.
Nobody know, man.
Everybody known I was scared to fly. I flew.
Now, I think I actually seen it on social media, man.
So that wasn't a secret. Everybody, I didn't know.
Okay.
Kind of, let me see. Don't nobody know.
And I think that's the information you gave the public. You're talking about, I ain't getting on no plane. I think I remember seeing something
right.
about that.
Man. Now you got me wondering, like, that'll be a real big secret to keep all these years, man.
Well, now, it may not have to be a secret. Like I say, it could be something that you just don't really talk about. Like I said, I know you've been in the music industry for a long time. It's something that, you may be a collector, a shoe collector. I mean, I don't know, but it's just something that nobody really knows about you. Now, it could be something that somebody, like maybe your intimate friends or family may know about you, but something that, you can tell the world about you that no one knows.
I don't know, man. I think I'm really kind of a mean guy.
Okay. Now, that is different. Usually I had to kind of...
I mean, to be honest with you, man, I'm not really a nice guy.
Now, when you talk about being like introvertish or like when you...
Introverted, I'm just not really big on people like that. I've grown to because I'm an entrepreneur, you know what I mean? I deal with the people, so I had to adapt that, but it's to know me to know, man. I'm really kind of an asshole. Not really a people person, like talking about it. If I don't know you, like I said in the beginning, I'm really not going to be having work. I'm still like that to this day, and I've been trying to shake that shell, you know what I mean? To be more sociable. You know what I mean? We on social goats, and I'm the most non-sociable guy in the room. You know what I'm saying? By default. I mean, that's just me. I'm not really, I don't know you niggas move around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Kind of introverted, shy, but quiet. Not shy, but quiet.
Oh, wow. And like I said, that's something that because like I said, I see on social media go live. So like I said, this is something that you're growing. Oh, wow.
I don't want to do. I'm really quiet in real life. I'm not, you know what I mean? Social media is just for, I guess you can pull your other personality. But deep down, I wouldn't mind being a comedian though. Writing. Like, because the things I used to post on social media, I mean, if you know, follow me from way back, you know, I used to post some crazy stuff. It'd be the things I don't post. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I don't think nobody knew that. I wouldn't mind being a comedic writer. Now, I can't tell stand up, right? Because I might don't have the delivery for it or whatnot. But
Yeah.
I know I can write some funny jokes or some funny, you know what I mean?
Like sketches.
Sketches, yeah.
Okay.
Sketches, right. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Okay. That's what's up. All right, man. So for anybody that want to acquire your services, once again, like I've posted those for people to actually see, like for state to state. If you want to acquire those services, you see the flyer. It's actually on your social media pages. Your preferred method of contact is through the website.
I mean, I always call, man. State to state preferred. If you got a question, call me. But if you booking here locally, you know, I think I got everything price wise, you know, what we expect, what we don't haul, what we don't carry on the website. But still, man, the best way is to call me.
Okay.
Reach out and call me, man. These phones are second part of my extremities.
Okay. Mechanicsville, will it be the same energy from Mechanicsville?
Call. Just call.
All right.
Because I get a lot of text messages too, but just call. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if you text me and I'm kind of always doing something, I may forget to respond or respond super duper late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if you might in a dire situation. Just call me.
All right. Well, look, man, that's been our show. I really, really appreciate you. Like I said, I had a goal this year of interviews, and you were on that list. I don't know if you've seen. I had a nice little list. You was on that list. I really appreciate you giving me that time, man. It means the world to be able to hear your story and for us to be able to spread it to everyone, man.
No problem, man. I
You
appreciate you for having me, bro. For real, for real.
Man, for sure. Well, you already know. When you get the call, you up. This has been Before the Vision. I'm Shady Will. Look, we got Miss Ashley Richardson coming through Saturday for Before the Vision. But you know, when you get the call, you up. We go, holla!